Not so long ago, I made an episode about what it was like being back in England and driving in England again. And in that episode, I said it'd be interesting, it'd be fun to make an episode about driving in Japan once I'd returned to Japan, so that I could sort of compare the two again, but, the other way around. Anyway, since getting back to Japan, I have been driving again. I've been driving my little lightweight K car. And I guess I was quite looking forward to it, to be perfectly honest with you. I hadn't driven that car for, a few months. And it felt like driving in Japan was going to be fun again. It was going to be new again, something different. Of course, it had only been, 3 months of driving in England. But that's enough, I think. I think that's long enough. Like a long enough break from driving in Japan and a long enough experience of driving in England for this to sort of feel new again. I mean, I do remember in the past, like when I was just living in England all the time, occasionally I'd be without a car for whatever reason, usually money based. So I'd think like, having a car is really expensive, so I'll just get rid of my car. I know some people are really like, I mean, I've heard quite a few people say, especially when I was telling them, I'm going to get rid of my car, and they would say like, how are you going to survive without a car? Like it was a really big, a big thing to them, a big deal. Like once they'd got used to the convenience of owning a car, of having a car, that they just couldn't go back to life before a car. Whereas for me, I mean, yes, I completely agree with what they're saying. I understand what they're saying and everything like that. But I don't know. I just thought like, I don't see the problem. I can just get rid of it if I want. And I did get rid of my car and it was fine. I mean, I had to use public transport, which isn't as convenient. Certainly, you can't just step foot outside your front door and get straight into your car, and that's a much worse issue when it's horrible weather, like tipping it down, raining really hard. But I don't know. I mean, on the flip side of things like that, I also sort of thought, well, I'm getting more exercise now. Well, I have to walk to the bus stop, or it was easier to like get off like a few stops early and then, spend a bit more time walking to get more exercise in. And then when I was actually on the bus or the train or whatever form of public transport I was on, I was always thinking like, yeah, I can do other things now. So I'm not driving anymore. I don't have to concentrate on the roads. I can listen to podcasts. I can read books. I can study. It's like, it felt like I was gaining some extra time, even though, yeah, it took a long time. It took a long time to do my normal journeys by public transport. But I don't know. I felt like I sort of got something from it. So it wasn't like, I didn't hate it, put it that way. So I think it was easy for me to go without a car. Anyway, I'm getting sort of off track here onto a bit of a different topic. But yes, there have been times in England when I've given up driving for a while, and I don't know what the longest time was. I think I've at least gone for a year without a car. Like I've been driving for years and years, like 8 years, 10 years or something, and then just like suddenly got rid of my car for a year or 2 years. I can't remember how long. And then like one day, I got a car again and I just start driving and everything feels new, but not like completely new. Like, oh my goodness me, I've forgotten how to drive. I've forgotten all the rules of the road. It's like a sort of familiar new. Like, I don't know. It's really hard to describe. It's weird. I suppose it's sort of like if you've learned to play the piano and you haven't played it for years and then you play it again and you can still play it and maybe you're a bit surprised. Like, oh, I still remember how to play that song. I haven't played it for years. And I'm a bit rusty, It's not as fluid as it used to be. It's not as smooth as it used to be. But you play it a few times and then it's like, okay, it's sort of like come back. I suppose it's like that with the driving. It's it did feel a bit like I had to think about it more. That was it, like concentrate a bit more. But then after I don't know, an hour or 2 hours, it just feels like I've never stopped driving. But anyway, that initial sort of first hour, first 2 hours, it's like, oh, look, this is a new feeling. This is familiar, but it feels new once again. So I was able to have that experience in Japan. And like I said, I was looking forward to coming back and driving my car and seeing how different it felt. And it did. It did indeed feel different. I got in the car and started driving, and I was surprised by how tall my car felt. I mean, it is a tall car. If I'm standing next to it, I can't see over the top of my car, and I'm about 178 centimeters tall. So my car is probably about 180 centimeters, which I think makes it quite a tall car, and you can really feel it when you're driving, especially when you're, going around corners and the way it sort of leans around the corners. The car I was driving in England was a lot, lower to the ground and wider as well. So when you go around the corners, you don't really notice it quite as much. But in my car, you do. You have to slow down a lot more. And then speaking of slow, I know if you've listened to my podcast long enough, one of the things you will have heard me sort of complaining about is the difference between the driving speed here in Japan, and that being it's sort of a lot slower than in England, just because it has to be, because of the roads are very different over here to English roads. I actually got in the car and I enjoyed driving at these slower speeds. So I wasn't annoyed by it or anything like that. It was more I suppose, relaxing more than anything else. I mean, comparing it to the driving in England, where it's faster and I feel like you've got to sort of pay attention to some things a bit more. This felt a lot more serene, a lot more calming. And then I suppose it's the fact that it's an automatic, which I've entirely completely got used to now. It feels as natural driving an automatic to me as it does driving a manual car. So yeah, you don't have to bother changing gears, and it's not like a fast ride. I mean, my car's got an incredibly tiny engine. I think it's half a litre engine, and it accelerates very, very slowly. So the whole thing is just a very slow, calming experience, slow speed limit and slow acceleration and slow going around the corners because it's so tall. So it's just a really slow, sort of relaxing experience. But it was fun, to be perfectly honest. It felt like I was sitting up really high up in my car, because it's a tall car and the driving position is different. It's almost like you're sitting in a chair because my car's so tall. It's the seat is quite high up from the ground, whereas cars I've typically driven before, you sort of you're sitting a lot closer to the ground, and your legs are stretched out further. Whereas this K car of mine is really like I'm just sitting in a chair. It's a bit of an unusual driving position, but I quite like it. I quite like it, to be honest. And what else? I mean, I suppose I was just looking at my car again and just thinking, I really like this car, just because it's a really clever use of space, I suppose, and it's very efficient. I mean, like I said, it's slow, so it's not going to win any awards for speed, and I don't think it's going to win any awards for looks or anything like that, style. But I admire what's been done, given the sort of limitations, the limitation on the length and the width and the height and the engine size. Those are all set into law, and that's what makes it, fall into the category of a K car. And despite it being so tiny, I'm always amazed by the amount of space that it feels like I've got inside it. And that's again down to the clever design, making it sort of like really boxy type shape to like maximize on the amount of space you get. I mean, my mother's car is a Fiat 500, and they are bigger actually. In terms of like, you know, the length and the width of the car, it's bigger than my car. Like the base of it is bigger. But if you sit in a Fiat 500, there's no space in them. I mean, my head touches the back if I sit in the back. My head touches the front if I sit in the front. And I'm not even tall, really. You know, I've said I'm about 178 centimeters tall. So that's not tall to me. I don't know how other people drive them. But it's like, I mean, even though my car's smaller, there is so much more space in there. It's so much more practical. So yeah, I guess to summarize, I have come back to Japan and I have been enjoying the driving experience in Japan. Even the things that sort of got on my nerves a bit. You know, I'm familiar with them all now, so I guess I don't notice them quite as much. So it's just been a pleasant experience coming back and driving in Japan. And yeah, I think I'm looking forward to doing some more driving in my tiny car. Okay, that's it for today's episode. Until next time, bye-bye.